In my program, I bring the studio to the street and interact with everyday Nigerians, taking their worries, their concerns, their questions directly to the ears of their leaders. Senate President Bukola Saraki, Distinguished Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, His Excellency Nyesom Wike, Governor Okezie Victor Ikpeazu, the Executive Governor of Benue State, Samuel Orta. We interrogate the policies and objectives of key stakeholders in the political and development sector to ensure that the impact trickles down to the poorest of the poor in our society.
These people in the house, most of them, their brain don't work.
But do you agree that there were accusations that you made during the campaign that were not necessarily founded?
Me?
Yes.
So what do they call the incident of October 2006?
No impeachment. They call it rascality.
Rascality.
My goal is to dig deep and find the truth, then give meaning, understanding, and solution to it.
The TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's episode of the Osasu Show. Today's episode will be discussing the illegal suspension of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Walter Onnoghen. We'll be speaking about the NJC's ruling that himself and Tanko Mohammed, the purported acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, should respond to the allegations leveled against them within 7 days. We'll be talking to none other than Dr. Joe Abah, who will be giving us his legal perspective on this issue, as well as its impact on our democracy as a nation. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back on the Osasu Show. Welcome back to the Osasu Show. Joining me now is Dr. Joe Abah. Thank you so much for joining me again on the program.
Thank you, Osasu. I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you so much. So we witnessed the suspension, or the purported suspension, of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Walter Onnoghen, by the President last week. What is the standing of the law?
The law is that the National Judicial Commission exercises disciplinary authority over judicial officers, including the Chief Justice of the Federation. A suspension, as you know, is part of the normal disciplinary measures you take when you have disciplinary control over staff. And so the president suspending him is not supported by the Constitution in any way. The National Judicial Council should have received a petition, should have had a hearing, and then decided on whether or not to suspend him. That's what should have happened.
So members of the All Progressives Congress has debated that the Interpretation Act, Section 11C, Section 11B actually, said that the President has the powers to appoint, suspend, and remove anybody who he's constituted to appoint. Does that stand in this case? Does that apply?
The Interpretation Act cannot override the Constitution. That's the simple answer to that. The Constitution is very clear. The Chief Justice can only be removed by the President upon an address supported by 2/3 majority of the Senate. That's very clear.
But when they say the law is open for interpretation, is it open for interpretation in situations like this? Can they argue that the Interpretation Act supersedes the Constitution?
No, that's nobody can argue that. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And so even the early sections of the Constitution says that any law that conflicts with this Constitution is null and void to the extent of that inconsistency. So it's very, very clear. So the president can only remove based on 2/3 majority of the Senate supporting that removal. And then the discipline of the Chief Justice and other judicial officers is by the 3rd schedule of the Constitution, the responsibility of the National Judicial Commission. And it says that very clearly, that they can make recommendations, they can suspend, they can do all of those things that you would normally do in a disciplinary hearing. So it's very, very clear, I think, but people would always play politics and be mischievous.
Speaking of politics, what does this mean for our democracy?
It's actually very serious, because I had written about, I had written when the Chief Justice was first charged, that this is actually a bigger deal than many people realize, because charging the Chief Justice of a country for any crime whatsoever is a major, major issue. And I'd looked at it and I expressed regret that the Chief Justice could be in a position where he's even charged to court in any way, and that Nigeria could be in a position where he was charging his Chief Justice for breaches of the Code of Conduct Act. So I looked at it, and at that time I felt, having looked at it, I couldn't see any positives from the whole saga. It was impossible to see what the positives could be. And so it's a major, major problem. You asked the question about what it means for our democracy. For our democracy, the president clearly overreached himself. He acted without the backing of the Constitution. That is a very serious issue. I think the National Judicial Commission has now taken what should have been the proper steps to take. So they've received the petition, they've given the Chief Justice and the purported acting Chief Justice 7 calendar days to respond. That's what should have happened in the first place, and I'm pleased that we're back to that position where we should have started from in the first place. The Code of Conduct Tribunal saying that directing the president to suspend the Chief Justice, in my view, was also completely improper. Because that directive should have gone to the National Judicial Commission, who are the people constitutionally empowered to suspend the Chief Justice.
I'm glad that we've established that the case is unconstitutional, because I took a stand on this previously, and a lot of people said that as a journalist, I should have remained neutral. But it's hard to remain neutral in the face of a flagrant breach of our Constitution. I think as a journalist, it's my job to ensure that the tenets of our democracy are upheld by every citizen, especially our leaders. But on last week's episode of the Osasu Show, we talked about the Nigeria we are versus the Nigeria that we want to be. In a case like this, where the president has openly disregarded our laws, openly disregarded our Constitution, what can we as Nigerian citizens do to hold him accountable and also to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
I cannot in any way defend the president's action. I agree with you completely that that violations of the Constitution should not be allowed to stand. Those violations include the National Assembly paying themselves what they like out of our Consolidated Revenue Fund, simply because they have the power to do so. The violation of the Constitution includes incarcerating people without trial for a long time in breach of their right to liberty. Violations of the Constitution include harassing the media and constraining the right to free speech. Violations of the Constitution include constraining people's ability to vote for a candidate of their choice and to choose their leaders. So every infraction of the Constitution must be condemned. And you're absolutely right. Where the number one citizen is the person going against the Constitution, then we should all stand firm and say that is not acceptable.
And how do we do that? Because Nigerians are known for talking a lot. We talk about the issues, but very rarely do we back that talk up with action. In fact, as, the day after the president had made this illegal decision to suspend the CJN, there was a protest at the United States Embassy. And after my program on Saturday morning, I went there to, join in the protest. And when I got there, there were about 20 people. I expected the entire country to be there participating, saying no to this. But I was very surprised to see, there were only a few people there. So what do we do? What actions can we take? How do we move from the talking phase to acting?
First of all, we mustn't underestimate the importance of talking. In my view, there are two rights we must protect with the last drop of blood in our bodies. The right to express ourselves and the right to vote for who we want. I think those two things must be protected at all costs. So the fact that we're even able to talk, we're able to complain it's not something to be taken lightly. What we do about it is related to the second freedom that I talked about, the freedom to choose our leaders. And so if we are deeply unhappy about anything in our polity, we have the ultimate response, which is our votes, which is why every responsible Nigerian must go out to vote. They must go out to cast their votes and ensure that those votes are counted and ensure that, the will of the majority prevails. So it's that dual action of being able to express ourselves and then being able to use our votes to get the kind of country we want.
But there has been an increase in voter apathy since the situation occurred. Many people believe that if the president could act by disregarding the Constitution, then would our votes really count? What's the point of INEC? In fact, I heard someone say the president might as well put Aisha Buhari as the chairman of INEC at this point, and nothing will happen. So how do we grow that trust in the Nigerian people again, that yes, the importance of expressing ourselves and the importance of voting for who we want, is our fundamental human rights? How do we make Nigerians understand this when there's still this impunity and disregard for the rule of law in our society?
I think the first thing to do, Osasu, is to distinguish between people that make political statements in order to emphasize a point, and people who are speaking genuinely out of concern. The truth of the matter is that since our current democracy started in 1999, our elections have got progressively better. The 2003 elections were worse than the 2007 elections, which were worse than the 2011, which were worse than the 2015. So we've progressively got better in terms of elections, and I think we are where we're now at the stage where if somebody wins an election, most people recognize that is actually the most popular person that won the election. The concern is the recent phenomenon of vote buying that we're beginning to see. That is also another serious infraction that is bringing to question the outcome of the elections. But I think generally our democracy is getting stronger with each election that we have.
So you can assure Nigerians that their votes will count?
I cannot assure Nigerians. That their votes will count because I'm not responsible for making sure that their votes will count. What I can assure Nigerians is that I will vote and I'll stay behind to make sure that my vote counts, and that if the results from my polling units is a surprise, then I will raise some dust and say this is not what we talked about. Incidentally, I've been doing a poll on Twitter for 3 weeks now. I think the first one had about 44,000 respondents. The second one had about 17,000. The current one is about 13,000 respondents so far. Of course, I know that Twitter votes are not robust. You know, anybody can vote anything on Twitter. Many people that vote may not even have PVCs. Some may be abroad and not be in a position to vote, and all of that. But I tell you that story because my intention is to interact with others in my polling unit and, you know, maybe do some exit polls and say, okay, so who do you think is going to win this particular polling unit? I think that's the most we can do as citizens.
Very lastly, Dr. Joe Abah, what is your ideal Nigeria?
My ideal Nigeria is one in which every human being every Nigerian has a good education, has good access to healthcare, lives in a secure environment, and is able to reach their potential regardless of ethnicity, religion, cultural background, gender, sexuality, or any other reason. A level playing field where we reward talent and enterprise, but also support those who may not be as strong and as talented as the rest of us.
And is there any presidential candidate running in this 2019 elections that you believe can deliver this ideal Nigeria?
I think the last I checked, there were about 71 presidential candidates, if I'm not mistaken.
I think about 68.
About 68, about 68 presidential candidates. My honest opinion is that the system we run currently makes it virtually impossible.
Wow. I want to leave on a happy note. Tell me something finally that we're doing well and we can amplify on in the years to come.
I think we're doing a number of things well. We're beginning to make it easier to do business in Nigeria. So the ease of doing business reforms are quite important. I think we're beginning to focus on large-scale infrastructure, particularly in the transportation sector. So the ability to move our people by rail, with better roads, improved airports, getting our inland waterways working again, those all bode very well for the future. We're also beginning to diversify away from oil, focusing on solid minerals, focusing on the manufacturing sector, focusing on the services sector. Those are all, they all fill me with hope. It's also the fact that we have a burgeoning youth population, which, in my view, is both a challenge and an opportunity. And our task is to make it more of an opportunity than a challenge.
That's a fine place to leave it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We'll take a break right now. When we return, more on the Osasu Show. Don't go anywhere.
The TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sport and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
You're welcome to another episode of Into the Streets. Today in the streets, we're going to be asking people a political question, and the question is, with the PVC collection method, do you think those with their TVCs will be able to get their PVCs before the deadline, February 8th? Sit back, relax, and enjoy and watch people as they come in to answer our questions. We'll be right back.
I don't actually think it's possible because the way it is going, even some of my colleagues that I happen to meet them at around the AMAC Council office here, they said that from what they have observed and even what I observed too around my location, there where I actually stay, I discovered that the people, is like they are doing a kind of discrimination in giving out the PVCs. That what is actually happening is that when I ask some of the Okada boys around my side, the people riding bike, they actually said they get this PVC from them, their side. That's those who are from the north. They even make phone calls. They get their PVCs in their absence. Their relations get them for them. And then those who are even not from that side, that part of the country, right here in Abuja, I met with some of my colleagues. They told me that coming here, they find it difficult. They try to look for 1 or 2 strategies to make you, deprive you from getting your PVC. Whereas these other boys who are coming from the north in the country here, they actually even call their relations to get their PVCs for them in their absence, that even at this point they are still doing some registration for them. So I don't think it's possible for those who are not from that particular part of the country to get their PVCs before the election, but those who are from that side, they are getting it with ease.
First and foremost, I would like to say that Nigerians are very lazy people. This PVC process started long ago, but a whole lot of people have been lying back there at home doing virtually nothing. If you feel that you want to come out and then give the necessary change or vote in the candidate that you want, you should be there on time so that you collect your PVC. It's not a question of whether the time frame is it's not you don't have time to go there. But the question is, this process started long ago. Nigerians should have gone there much earlier to get their PVC so that they can vote in candidates of their choice.
The issue that the announcement is everywhere. The INEC themselves have actually been sensitizing people on the need to collect their PVCs. So the onus lies on everybody to ensure that you get yours. Even though there are challenges at the collection centers, I understand, though I have collected mine before now, but I understand that there are still challenges with regard to collection of the PVCs. Some say that the process of collection is very, very hard, very difficult for them. But I still want to use this medium to urge those that have not collected to use this opportunity to ensure they collect. I think the collection is still until 8th of February. So every other person is urged to go and collect their PVC to ensure that we exercise their franchise this time around. So, but in any case, actually not everybody will collect, but what we expect that the greater number of people should collect so that there will be improvement in the voting system this time around.
I think in the last time we did election in 2015, it wasn't as slow as this. During that time, some of us we did our PVC. We got registered and then we're given our PVCs on time. But this time, I can see that the process has taken unnecessarily long. So I'm not sure that everybody will get their PVCs before the election period.
The process is slow, if you ask me, but I suggest they should put more efforts. But looking at the way it's going now, I don't think that everybody that have registered for the PVC will get it before the election date.
The TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sport and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
That's it for today's program. Don't forget to subscribe to TOS TV Network. You can visit our website for a link to download our app, www.tostvnetwork.com. Read my personal articles, my personal opinions on osasuigbenadian.com. You can visit our foundation website, the osasusshowfoundation.org, to get involved in our NGO activities. Don't forget to follow us on social media at The Osasu Show, at TOS TV Network, at Osasuigbenadian, and at TOS Foundation NG on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll see you same time, same place next week, and until then, don't forget to get your PVC.